This is not the end for me in politics. This is the start of a new beginning. And this beginning will be about serving the people and residents and the businesses in Broxtowe to ensure that we achieve what we want to achieve, which is social equality and a fair deal for all.
So long-time viewers of the channel will know that there's a lot of internal tension within the Labour Party currently, insofar as Keir Starmer lied to become leader of the party by pretending he would be left-wing when he isn't. Most of the membership are left-wing, both members of the party more broadly and people who are elected into local government, usually selected by people who make up the grassroots membership of the party. And so we have seen a lot of defections from the Labour Party over the recent months, both during their time in government and during their time in which Keir Starmer has been leader of the Labour Party. And this is probably the biggest shock and the largest defection that we have seen yet. In the constituency of Broxtowe, 20 of the 26 councillors have resigned from the Labour Party and formed the Broxtowe Independents sitting on the council. So there used to be a Labour majority on this council. There is now a minority government in plurality on this council forming the Broxtowe Independents, because there's 20 of them. Only 6 out of the 26 Labour councillors stuck around with the Labour Party. It shows the level of feeling that there is within the Broxtowe constituency, broadly within the borough, with regards to what's going on within the Labour Party. They released a statement today, a press release I got invited to, for the reasons why that they are moving away from the Labour Party, and we're going to read through it now. Today, 20 Broxtowe Labour councillors with a combined membership of 250 years have said enough is enough. Together with one county councillor and 100 members as well, we are walking away from the party we have always served and supported. It is with a heavy heart that we can no longer be in a party that has abandoned traditional Labour values under Keir Starmer's leadership. This is big. 20 out of 26 councillors and a county councillor and 100 members. That's wild. That's a huge, huge, huge number. Although the seeds had been sown within what was happening with Broxtowe pretty early, as we shall find out. From the cutting of the winter fuel allowance for 11 million pensioners, to the retention of the 2-child benefit cap for struggling families, the increase in bus fares across our towns and cities, the betrayal of the WASPy women pensioners to a tepid response to the genocide in Gaza, we say this is not the Labour Party we campaigned for, nor is it the Labour Party that Keir Starmer promised. The public were told to vote for change and all they got was more of the same, attacking the most vulnerable to protect the interests of the rich and powerful. If he doesn't protect the interests of the rich and powerful, where will he get his quadrature donations? Where will he be able to curry favour with companies like BlackRock if they don't protect the interests of the rich and powerful, whilst cutting winter fuel for pensioners, putting hundreds of thousands of new pensioners into poverty over the winter? In Broxtowe, we urged the party to rethink the winter fuel allowance which affected our local residents. The response? To callously block 10 of our dedicated councillors as county council candidates for the local elections in May 2025. We will not stand by and let down the people of Broxtowe and defend the indefensible. We cannot just sit back in silence. I also have some insider information, chat. I actually have an additional reason as to why they were blocked from standing as county council. Apparently, one of the reasons why people were blocked from standing for county council is because they responded to one of my tweets. I said, this is why I held my nose and voted for you guys. Also thought it's worth absolutely gutted the community hub got shut down. Outrageous behaviour from regional. Appreciate that. Definitely worth voting for us in any local elections. This is from September 2023. So you thank people and say that you appreciate the fact that they voted for you. You oppose the leadership of the Labour Party from cutting the winter fuel payment to millions of pensioners. Nope, not good enough to stand for county council. And to think, I was speaking to one of them today at the press release, and she was saying, well, how many I serve old people in my constituency. I'm part of charities that are there to help old people. How can I be a dedicated councillor and support the party as they cut the winter fuel payment and push hundreds of thousands of pensioners into fuel poverty? Our constituents need hope and councillors who will place our old people and our community first. This can only be realised by standing up to and offering people a real choice. Therefore, we are proud to announce that 20 of our councillors are forming a new independent party. A party that will always prioritise the needs of everyone in our community. We will be standing our candidates in May 2025 local elections and will campaign for every vote in every street in every town, which is absolutely based. I'm so glad to see it. The hashtag walkaway movement really has come to the UK and has come with a vengeance, seeing as this is many amongst many of the councillors that have stepped down due to the Labour Party's horrendous positions that they've taken over the last few years. And the thing is they're just right. They're absolutely correct in their criticism of the party. When I was speaking to people today, loads of things came up from people that I spoke to for reasons why they really couldn't be part of the Labour Party that exists in 2024 or 2025 now that we're in the new year. We heard people who say that they were quitting over the winter fuel payment, the 2-child benefit cap, the response to what's happening in Palestine, the factional deselections, people having factional suspensions against them. There were people who quit because of Wes Streeting's stance on LGBTQI rights. There were people who were quitting because of the way in which that this government is going to be failing disabled people, given what we're seeing happening in the DWP under Liz Kendall. There were so many reasons, the same reasons that I've been criticising the Labour Party for the last however many years now, as to why they left, and it's absolutely correct. The seeds really had been sown for the Broxtowe revolt when, first of all, Greg Marshall, one of the most popular councillors in the area, got blocked from standing as the PPC because, again, he's too left-wing. That's it. That was the only basically reason why. He's too left-wing. To be replaced as the candidate by Juliet Campbell, a councillor from Lewisham who spent no time in the constituency, didn't have time to attend the hustings during the election, and basically hasn't spent any time here at all since being elected. Hard-working local councillors, not good enough. Random councillors from London who don't spend any time in the constituency and getting parachuted in. That's what you get in the Starmer Party. Not the Labour Party, the Starmer Party. That's the kind of people that you get as your candidates, the highest quality candidates. And on top of this as well, there's a really, really disgusting reason as to why the Labour Party have seen so many defections in Broxtowe. One of the things that was pioneered in the Broxtowe constituency was the community organising. They had a community hub that they had put money into in the area to help out people. They fed thousands of people during the pandemic to ensure that they were rooted in the community, the kind of mass movement, locally based political engagement that you'd think the Labour Party, that keeps going on about devolution and wanting to bring power back to the regions, would want to support. And yet they took the community hub, took over the bank account that all the direct debits were out to be able to pay the rent and the upkeep on it. They took that away from access for the people within the Labour Council and gave it to regional instead, and they refused to pay the rent, so that the person whose name was on the lease for the building they were using for the community hub almost got taken to court by the people who owned it because they weren't paying the bills, because regional Labour refused to pay, having taken it away from the local council. And so it had to get shut down. They had pioneered community organising in Broxtowe, and I can only imagine, what I can only surmise, is for factional reasons, because these people were essentially making everyone look bad by being better than everybody else over here in our community. We lost the community hub in this constituency, and regional Labour were directly to blame. So they've been meddling and interfering with local politics in this constituency for far too long, and looking at things like the 2-child benefit cap and this blocking of people for standing for county council really was the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of the councillors that I spoke to. Because at a time in which people's faith in Westminster is so incredibly low, now is the time to create a left-wing alternative, and I support people like the Broxtowe Independents in their desire to want to take what they feel is their own community base that they have, they're well-known and well-liked in the area, and use that as a springboard for a new and better kind of politics. I'm absolutely happy to support them as they do that. Now here is the council leader, Milan Radovich, talking to the press, which I managed to film from the background on my camera phone, and I think that his words are particularly poignant at this time. Let's have a listen.
I stand in front of you today to make the formal announcement that after 43 years I will be leaving the Labour Party, and I will not be going alone. So far over 100 people have agreed to join our group, and somewhere in the order around 20 councillors will also be leaving the Labour Party. This has been the accumulation of a number of years of mistreatment by the regional and national party, which has resulted in the blocking of our preferred candidate for parliamentary selection. And recently, because it seems that we voted against the government's proposals to withdraw the winter fuel allowance, that they've also now blocked 10 of our members from standing in the county council elections in May. And I want to say to everybody These people that they have blocked are committed, they are dedicated, and they invest an awful lot of their time and effort in serving the borough of Broxtowe. They would make well-worthy candidates, people who you can rely on. They are trusted, they are dedicated, they are hard-working.
And that's the thing, is that it's not just about what's going on in the party. It's not just about opposing the policies that are being put forward in Westminster. It's also about the fact that these people are representing the people of Broxtowe. You're not there to serve the party, you're there to serve your constituents. And it's impossible to represent your constituents when the desires of the internal party at Westminster are so far removed from the platform that you have always supported, that your community supports you for. With such a gaping chasm in values between the people of Broxtowe who elect the people who you see before you who are quitting, and the people at Westminster who believe that they're better than to have to listen to these people, the gap is so stark. And if you want to be rooted in the community, nowadays you're going to have to go it alone.
I myself have been 43 years in the Labour Party. I was first elected in 1986, and this was my 39th year as a councillor, which I served 22 years as leader of Broxtowe Council and 8 years as leader of the opposition. And the hope over the previous 14 years of austerity and mismanagement of this country's finances and resources was an opportunity for a new beginning. The word was change. What we didn't realise that what they meant was change for the worse. What we've seen since July is the abandonment of the working classes in support of the Westminster elite and those people who take an enormous amount of this country's wealth for themselves and leave people in need of care, in need of support, in need of these vital services, it seems, to their own devices.
Exactly, he's 100% correct. He is absolutely 100% correct. That is what's happened, is that we have got the Labour Party governing on behalf of BlackRock rather than on behalf of the people. And I can understand his anger. 43 years. 43 years he's been a member of the Labour Party, putting so much of his time and effort into being a hard-working member of his community. Indeed, as has been pointed out in chat, actually putting country before party rather than putting faction before country like Keir Starmer does. And to look at what they've done whilst they've been in charge of the party, I'm not surprised that it took this long, given how much service he has given to the party as a political entity, to realise that enough is enough. But again, people can only be pushed so far.
The decision to withdraw the winter fuel allowance was disgraceful. The decision to stop, not to raise the two-child benefit, was ridiculous. It was a way of raising a number of people out of poverty overnight. And since then we've seen the betrayal of the WASPy women, despite all the election promises that were made to people. It's time that we took a stance, and we are going to take a stance in Broxtowe. It is not good enough for a parliamentary group to suddenly think that they can impose their will upon the people of this country because they have a majority at an election. This country is a democracy. I'm very proud of our democracy at local and national level. And the more and more that power is concentrated centrally in the hands of fewer people, the closer we get to a dictatorship.
And that's the thing, is that, sure, they have a majority at an election, off of fewer votes than Jeremy Corbyn got in 2019. The loveless landslide of electoral efficiency. That's not going to be a mandate to change the country broadly unless they take people with them at basically every single level of the country. Like, we have to respect that they have a parliamentary majority, and it's true that they do. But unless they actually try and persuade people, there will be more and more like this. There'll be more and more people who realise that the Labour Party doesn't speak for them. Because they could use the giant majority that they have had because of electoral efficiency to broaden the church, to widen the appeal, to bring people in, to create something that changes the country for the better. That upsets the donors, chat.
And so I leave you with this final message today. This is not the end for me in politics. This is the start of a new beginning. And this beginning will be about serving the people and residents and the businesses in Broxtowe to ensure that we achieve what we want to achieve, which is social equality and a fair deal for all. And we will do what we can to protect jobs and services to those who are most vulnerable. I'd like to thank you all for coming here today and listening to me. Quite a few of you've done that a long time. But I stand before you today a very humble but very proud person in the fact that the dedicated team that you see behind you and the supporters that you see all around you to here today have committed large parts of their life towards service of their community. We are not about to let it be steamrolled by Westminster diktats. We will be trying to disassemble the elite in this country and to return local democracy and local services back to local people where it belongs.
That is the rhetoric that you need to be successful in politics in 2025. This is how 2025 will change politically. It'll be about being anti-Westminster, be taking power away from Westminster. That's where it's at. People are fed up. People are fed up with the duopoly. People are fed up with Whitehall. People are fed up with power being centralised in London. This is how we will bring democracy, bring politics back down to the local level, to community level, and reach people where they are, rather than expecting them to reach us where we are. And I will end this segment with something that I feel is very indicative of the strength of feeling within the people who were there at the press release today. And here is a picture of ceremonially destroyed Labour membership cards. I think that's probably 10 or so people's there. One of them still had the old Rose logo from the 90s on it as well. That's how long some of these people have been members of the Labour Party. And Keir Starmer, a man who wasn't even a Labour MP until 2015, has been the one to get these people to leave the movement. Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership to just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.